Electoral College for Kids. Hey, kids! By now, you probably know what a college is. That's right. It's a school where students go after they're done with high school to study subjects in a more intense, advanced way. But in this video, we're going to be talking about a different type of college, the Electoral College. The Electoral College is actually not for students, has no teachers, and requires no books. Sounds like your kind of college, right? The Electoral College is actually something set up by our founding fathers in the United States Constitution as a way of determining who wins the election for U.S. president that we hold every 4 years. I know what you're thinking. Doesn't the person who receives the most votes for president across the country win the election? Well, yes, but they have to receive the most votes in the Electoral College, not the popular vote. Here's what happened. When the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution, which is the document that outlines how the United States would be run, they established something called the Electoral College to determine who becomes president. It works like this. Each state has a certain number of electoral votes. When a person running for president wins that state, they receive the state's electoral votes. Each state has a certain number of electors. California has the most, with 55, while Alaska, Delaware, Montana, North and South Dakota, and Wyoming have the least, with 3. The number of electors is based on the population of that state. There are a total of 538 electoral votes. So a candidate would need to win 270, or a majority of that total, to become president. So, if a person running for president wins enough states to get to 270 electoral votes, they become president. Sometime after the November election, all the electors get together to officially cast their vote for whoever won their state. That group of electors is called the Electoral College. But let's step back a second and talk about how you go from being a presidential candidate to winning the Electoral College and become president. It's not that easy. As you may know, the election for U.S. president occurs every 4 years. Either someone new can run, or the current president can try to win again, so he or she can serve a second term. No president is allowed to serve more than 2 consecutive terms. To run for president, you must have been born in this country and be at least 35 years old. Running for president is a long, laborious process, and campaigns typically last more than a year. There are usually a bunch of people who want to be president, and most often they are either a Democrat or a Republican. There are other political parties too, but it's very unusual for someone who is not a Democrat or Republican to win. Candidates from different parties have been known to take votes away from the Democrat or Republican candidates, but not enough to become president, at least not in recent years. Before the main election for president, which takes place in early November every 4 years, there are primaries in each state to narrow down the candidates from each party to just one. Once the leading candidates are chosen, they typically go from state to campaign and try to convince people to vote for them. Then, on election day, people over 18 cast their votes in each state, and the winner of the Electoral College becomes president for a 4-year term. Because of the Electoral College, it's actually possible for a candidate to win more individual votes across the whole country, but still lose the Electoral College, and therefore lose the entire election. In fact, it's happened 5 times. Donald Trump, John Quincy Adams, Rutherford B. Hayes, Benjamin Harrison, and George W. Bush have all become president while losing the popular vote. So why did the Founding Fathers set up the Electoral College in the first place? As they saw it, they didn't want ordinary people choosing the president directly because they thought they wouldn't be well enough informed to select the best candidate. So they preferred the idea of using electors from each state to choose on behalf of the citizens. The founders also didn't want the largest states having more influence in the election because they had the largest population. So, for example, A state like California, with lots of people, could get together with other large states like Texas, Ohio, and Florida and choose the president. The Electoral College gives the voters in small population states, like Vermont or New Hampshire, a say in the election. It means candidates have to campaign in every state to win enough Electoral College votes to be president. If the election were just based on population, candidates would only campaign in larger populous states, like California, Ohio, Texas, New York, and Florida. What do you think about that? Would you rather have the popular vote decide who wins, or electors from each state? Which do you think is fairer? Initially, the Constitution also said that the person who received the second most Electoral College votes would become the vice president. That changed in 1804 when the 12th Amendment was passed, making it so the candidate for president could pick his or her VP running mate. Because of the Electoral College system, when candidates run for president, they often focus their attention on just the states they think they need to win to become president, rather than focusing on all the states equally. So, for example, if a candidate thinks winning Pennsylvania and its 20 electoral votes will help them become president, they'll spend more time there than other states. This focus on states is one of the criticisms of the Electoral College. If you live in a state that one of the candidates know he or she will easily win, you might feel left out if that person never comes to your state to earn your vote. Have you heard of red and blue states? Those labels are the result of the Electoral College. Over the past several presidential elections, states that the Democratic candidate is pretty sure he or she will win have been labeled blue, which is the color symbolizing Democrats. And states that the Republican candidate is pretty sure he or she will win have been marked red, which is the Republican color. Some states have even been labeled purple. Those are states where it's not clear who will win. You'll often find candidates from both parties spend a lot of time in these purple states trying to win votes. Do you live in a blue, red, or purple state? If you don't know, take a look at which candidate has won the electoral votes in your state over the last several elections. So what happens if no candidate gets enough electoral votes needed to become president? Then Congress decides who wins. This has happened twice, 1801 and 1825. To sum up, the Electoral College is not a college at all, but a group of electors who choose our president based on how candidates do in their states. The result is that a candidate can get the most votes in the country as a whole, but still lose the Electoral College. For better or worse, we're the only country in the world that uses this system. Now that you've studied up on the Electoral College and know more about how presidents are elected, you've become a more informed citizen. No matter how our elections go, and whether or not you'll live in a blue or red state, one thing's for sure, being informed is a good thing.
Hope you had fun learning with us. Visit us at learnbright.org for thousands of free resources and turnkey solutions for teachers and homeschoolers.